Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Would everybody join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can we have roll call, Donna, please?
Okay, Trustee Short?
Here.
Trustee Connor?
Here.
Trustee Champlain? Mayor LaPorte?
Here.
Superintendent Sullivan?
Here.
And Clerk Treasurer Dawson is out with an illness.
Right. And
So,
Trustee Mercaldi is
oh, I'm sorry, yes, Trustee McCauley's out.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I believe everybody has a copy of our previous board minutes. Was there any corrections that need to be done to this? And if not, could I get a motion to have these board minutes approved?
So moved.
Minutes approved by Connor, second by Short. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Abstain.
Thank you. Would anybody here like to address the board before we go on with our board meeting?
Yes. I represent Aubrey Excavating and Trucking, and I would like to make an inquiry of the board. I've got due notice from Griffin International allowing me to proceed now and finish the long dragged out affair that we've had with the former Transborder building. The building will be completed in 72 hours. At that point in time, I'm requesting that we be paid in full. However, the hydro seeding will not be performed this year because of inclement weather. My inquiry is, do I have to supply a letter of guarantee for this, or is it just a given fact that this procedure will be done as of next year? As you saw, the other sites were bountiful with a nice crop of grass. The park looks really nice. The other properties came in almost as nice, and the same will be true of where the foundation currently is. However, that's going to have to be done in the spring, and because of massive cost overruns, I would appreciate it if the board would pay me in full at this point in time. The lawyer fees were extremely high throughout this affair.
I had some correspondence that I read about, maybe because we thought that maybe something like this would conspire before the contract was done. So at my request, I asked Superintendent Sullivan to check on this and see what would be done at a time, like because we're getting to the end of the season where the full scope of the end of the project can't be done. What would our options be as far as bursting money out? And I think you got an answer today, didn't you, Mr. Sullivan?
Yeah, they called me up and said that we couldn't close the contract until everything was done.
Oh. Well, then I'm going to hydro seed it now.
Well, if that's
And that's
what needs to be done, I guess that's what needs to be done.
That's too bad. It will be hydro seeded then.
You know,
There's a small balance, and the I've got a bill from one attorney that's going to eat most of that. That's why I'm requesting that we be paid in full, but if that's the position of the village board, it will be hydroseeded in 3 days.
It isn't the village of Champlain's idea, it's what has to be.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's what we're up against, because we knew that the time was getting to be where it was getting late for reasons that I've heard a lot of conflict about, so,
There has to be some logical way around this.
Well, I'm telling you, that's the way it is, that's what they tell me.
Is that what Mr. Keeble's position is?
Isn't Mr. Cable?
No.
Oh, who's the?
Brad Anderson, State Emergency Management.
yeah.
And
See,
Mr.
they're actually the ones that hold the purse strings for this.
Exactly, I understand it. So it's his position that that I have to complete the project in full.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm advising you then it will be completed, and it will be hydroseeded now. If that's what it takes for me to get a final payment. However, it's a redundant move. It's unfortunate, but I'm in a financial position where we need the balance of that job to meet our bills.
Well, I guess you'll have to finish the job then, because
And I
they're
feel
telling
bad. I
us that
feel
they
I
will
feel
not
bad
give us
about
the
having to operate this way, because the end result is it's not going to look very nice next spring. It's sad. If we could wait and hydroseed it in the spring and have it be done properly, the end result will be much better. I don't, I'll contact the subcontractor that's supposed to do the seeding, but I'm sure he's gonna tell me that I don't think there's any way to protect, seedlings, from what we're going to be suffering from in the next, couple of weeks, I'm told. And inclement weather is supposed to finally be here. Are there any other options?
He didn't give me any.
We can't even do, as long as I can get a bulk of the money. I mean, the hydro seeding for what is left is approximately $700.
Well, I can give him a call.
Now, in lieu of full payment, if the village could make an inquiry, we could survive with that and perform the hydro seeding in the spring and see that the job is properly done.
well, I'm sure if there was even any kind of thought at all to that, Jeff, there would have to be some kind of written guarantee. Okay, I mean, they will not just say, okay, you're gonna finish paying them.
I would be more than happy to supply the village with
You know,
a letter of guarantee that the hydro seeding would be done in the spring.
but that is, again, what they will be governing, because they hold the purse strings, you know.
I understand.
Oh, and I can remember, I had correspondence on it too, and I figured that, you know, and like I say, in lieu of all the things that have happened, believe me, it's been an inconvenience to you, but it sure the heck hasn't been any better for us. Because we get complaints about the down street as well.
What do you think, Bob? Do you think you can get him to bend on this?
I can call him, I mean, what it's gonna take is, I'll call SEMA.
Okay.
SEMA will call FEMA. Then they'll call back to SEMA. Then they'll call back to me.
Yeah.
And that's the way the
Yeah.
ring around the rosy goes. Now, if I can get him to do a conference call, maybe.
Okay, what I'll do is I'll try to get a letter to the village tomorrow, so you have something in hard copy in your hand at least. I'll try to have it here before 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Any exact specifics, or just a letter of guarantee that the hydro seeding function will be performed?
Well, I think, well, let's,
Well, my opinion is, you know, one thing you said that you would go ahead and do it now if you get your money. Well, I would think if you did it now, and you realize that it probably won't grow, by doing it, you have to probably come back, or somebody's gonna come back next year and redo it. because that's, you know, it's supposed to.
That's what I'm trying to circumvent here.
Right, I agree with you. So
I don't want to, in other words,
gonna be added cost.
I can't do that in
It's
good
gonna be
faith.
added cost on somebody's part, and it certainly isn't the village's. Now, I'm sure Bob will, he said he will, he'll call and inquire on this.
It's unfortunate that this
There's no
has had to be
guarantees.
dragged out like
Yeah,
this.
there's no guarantees on what Bob can come up with.
Right.
He doesn't have the final say, and either does the village.
We're at the embassy. It's a reimbursement
I would have
program.
thought that would have been totally done by now.
I was at the mercy of Griffin
Oh,
International.
I totally
I
realize.
pushed on them, I did everything, we did everything humanly possible. It was like a chain of events like the village is going through. I'm going through one entity, and then the other entity has a subcontractor that has a subcontractor, and it was just a vicious circle that unfortunately, well, it wasn't done in a timely manner. They just dragged their feet with the whole abatement thing. I stood a chance of hydro seeding it a month ago, and it would have taken.
And I think we would
We're
have
just
thought it
too
would
late
have
now.
done weeks ago, as far as
Yeah,
the project.
I don't remember the exact date that,
And my hands were tied. There was, Mark McCall could not give me permission to go in there and even do partial work. John Douglas, the state entity we were dealing with, was adamant about that.
Yep.
And I was told that there would be massive fines in play, invoked against me if any procedures were started. So my hands were completely tied to it. I want the village to know that I did try to expedite all this, and there was nothing I could do. I was powerless.
And so were we.
That's right.
Okay, Bob, I'll get a letter to you. Thank you, folks,
Thank
very
you
much for your time.
stopping in this evening. I see that there's nobody else here to approach the board. Now we have the mayor's report. To the general public this year, March 2002, we have elections up for two trustees and the village justice. So everybody would know, 2 trustees and village justice will be elected March this year, 2002. Again this year, New York State Electric and Gas has made donations or gifts to the residents of the village of Champlain for a lighting contest. And in lieu of that, the judging for the annual Village of Champlain Christmas Home Decorating Contest will be held on Thursday, December 20th, 2001, starting at 6:30 p.m. In case of inclement weather, the alternate date will be Friday, December 21st, 2001. New York State Gas has donated all the prizes this year. Deputy Clerk Donna, did you have a list or know of what the prizes are?
I don't, Mary Ann Kerr is working on coming up how to divide it up. I believe they're donating $200, and they're going to try to divide it up into 4 or 5 monetary prizes.
Okay.
But I'm not exactly sure. They haven't come up with a definite on how many, but I believe it was $200 from what Mrs.
Right.
Dawson was talking about.
So, the beautification committee will actually be doing the judging and awarding the prizes.
Stand corrected, it is 200, but Mr. Sullivan reminded me it goes toward your electric bill, I believe.
The
It's a
gift
gift certificate
certificates.
toward your electric bill.
Right. So the prizes will most likely be a certificate to go towards your household lighting bill. So remember, everybody, this year we're having another lighting contest. They will be judging on the 20th of December, and if inclement weather, the 21st. Thank you very much. Now talking about Christmas. It's probably kind of late, which I know we should probably try to do this in July. But was there any interest in the village having a Christmas party this year?
Everybody's looking at me. I've been kind of back on this. I don't know where we stand on doing it. We should have been done a long time ago.
Right, I just, and I was thinking about it because of why I was saying that. I've already got too many to go to myself. And then I finally said, well, or do
Or would you rather do something the week of Christmas? Yeah, right after.
Oh, yeah.
Between Christmas and New Year's. Would that be a better time?
I guess I'm not sure exactly what type of thing you're looking
Okay, well, we usually go out for dinner. We usually, we have gone to the Peppercorn in the past. We go out for a meal in the evening, and
It's a get together.
it's a get-together. Just so that everybody that works with the village and concerned with the village, at least you get to sit down and have one meal and at least,
Get to know each other as people.
instead of boss and what have you, you know. I think it's a good idea, but, you know, it's immaterial to me, but we would have to see if we could get a date. And like I said, as far as so you would probably be thinking of maybe the 29th, or the 28th is on a Friday, the 29th is on a Saturday. Is that the weekend that you would probably be thinking of?
Yeah. We'll see how that works out.
What would the opinion of the
I
board be?
think either of those dates would probably be fine with me.
All right,
Scott?
I think it's all right.
right. Let's see if we could do something that Friday or Saturday. You know, that would probably be at our best. It would be between the Christmas and New Year's, so that would be, you know, just a,
Christmas is
yeah. But,
so Christmas is a hectic week for me.
oh, yeah.
It is for everybody.
It is for everybody. That's why I said, not even that, even
It's the week my kids are
the first weekend in January or something. You know, it's
Yeah.
kind of hard around, unless you start real early, and if anybody has a work business worker, they usually have a party or a get-together or what have you. It's
Just
it's
Friday.
hard.
Friday.
Yeah, you know, it's, so you're gonna be looking into that with the help of,
Donna will hit me with a sledgehammer and
okay,
prod me along.
well, that's good then.
You know,
There was a thing that our district fire chief, Mr. Champlain, had approached me at work about, we're probably in the same boat as most every fire department in Clinton County. I know when I was fire chief, I had the same problem. He was asking, because we have one of the volunteer firemen that are here that works at the village, but is also a driver of fire trucks. So I had Donna call up Rouse's Point and see if they had anything in their policy or anything to try and help out the fire department. Well, apparently they don't have anything in writing. But a lot of it, I believe, goes to the discretion of the person that's in charge. But they say, yes, they do allow their volunteer firemen that work for them go out and drive the ambulance or drive the fire truck. And my thing was when I brought it up and I asked about the second call, not the first call. You know, because you are toned out the first call, and then a lot of times if there's a 5-minute or a 10-minute wait and they haven't responded, they'll usually call for a driver for what, the ambulance, or there's usually a 5-minute, I believe, ambulance or a fire truck to get it there. Well, I was wondering if there was any way that we could institute that rule here. We have a small crew. But I think we need to try and help to make sure that our community is protected as well.
Can I interject something for a second?
Yes.
Rouse's Point does have direct communications with the fire department. It's on their radio. And I'm not sure it's on ours, but it might be. Right, I know that it's on mine, but I don't constantly monitor. At least on my, the 800,
Right.
all right? We don't have a little,
Should be C.
yeah, but I don't have a minute to tell me what's first or second call or anything like that. It normally doesn't come over that frequency. If I know that there is a structure fire, the men can't be paid to go to it, but if they want to go and it's been a second call, yes. We've always done that, but only it's on a very limited basis, very limited. Immediate danger to somebody's life, there's a life safety issue, then yes. You've got to, discretion, you have to use some discretion.
Oh, I understand that.
But it can't be for every, a cat up a tree, which I've had calls for.
Okay, but now I'm going to ask you a question, Superintendent Sullivan.
Sure.
What is, maybe not, I don't know, Donna's new at it, but I haven't did an investigation. What is the criteria that you use for jury duty? Now, if you get called to jury duty, they only pay them like $6 a day or $8 a day.
Turn their check in to the village, and they get their paycheck. They
Okay.
return their check from the court.
But that's civic duty pay.
If you pay a volunteer fire department, if a village or town pays a volunteer fireman to go to a fire, you have the chance to lose your volunteer status. That's very, very severe. That was one of the things that Jim King was pretty insistent on, and also in code schools
Okay,
and stuff
well,
like
we'll-
that, fire schools.
I may look into that a little deeper, but, so what you're saying right now is, now, to whose discretion is that? Yours?
Usually, yeah. If I'm here, if I'm right available. If I'm not, then it'll be Larry. He'd be
Okay,
Next
so in other
thing
words,
from
what I can actually do for the fire chief is actually let him know that we do have this in place, but the volunteer has to get the okay from you to go.
myself or my assistant. It has to be a chain of command.
There's not a problem with that?
Can I just make some observations?
Yeah.
Sure.
Sure.
I personally, I'm definitely in favor of firemen, EMS, and people being able to go on these particular calls. My only concern is, because we do have such a small crew, is that, say, an individual is out plowing snow, get a call, You just can't park that snowplow somewhere and go on a call.
Oh, we know that.
Well, I just
Yeah,
wanna make that
right.
clear, because
That's a
they're
second
kind of been beating around the bush about it. I mean,
Right.
there's probably nobody more than me wants to see the fire service get as much assistance as they can.
Right.
I've been there, I know what it's like, and I think they do a great job. But because of the numbers that we have in the village as far as people, we have to be very discreet about when
How,
who
where.
can go.
Yeah.
Right.
That's my only concern.
I-
Rouse's Point has a lot of people working for them, so they can lose one person and not
They have more than
impact.
3 times the amount of people.
Yeah.
But see, and I do believe that I myself talked at length with the fire chief about this, about my concerns as well. And I'm glad it's gonna be Robert, and I'm glad that it's in place. It'll be scrutinized quite well, believe me, because of what we have. But if I have somebody here that's, you can't say that they're not busy, but not a critical job, and there is somebody out there that needs their help, I would hate to say that we couldn't do that. You know, this is what I'm getting at. But you're right, if they're running a snowplow, there's no way. You know, because we have to
Keep the streets clean.
keep the village straight too.
And second of all would be, after a period of time that they're on site, well, let's just use the structure fire, which is, you know, one of the tragedies that can happen. After there are people on site to relieve them, they should come back.
Right. That again,
It's not a-
mentioned.
It's not a stay there and,
Right.
have a great
That
time.
has to be brought up to the volunteers that are here. Because that again was a concern that I spoke with the fire chief about. I mean, you're saying there's nobody at that time to get the vehicle there, but as they show up, this individual should be relieved and transported back to his vehicle so that he can continue to work.
Or call back to me and I'll come get them.
Right. This was a main concern, and I told him, we do not have the manpower. But if there's anything that we can do to try and help out the situation, I think we should.
I'll second that.
This is not an easy cakewalk. This is not, we're gonna just not be to work today, okay?
Yeah.
This is not what it's gonna be. If it is, it won't happen at all. But I think as the trustees, we should be able to do this for our community. It's been in place, I want to make sure.
Unspoken.
Unspoken. And even this, from Rouse's point, there's no written rule, but it's there. And it can be as easily not there. You know, that's the thing.
You know, the issue with your snow plowing is strictly the fire truck. If the fire truck can't get there, that's a worse situation than
You had if you didn't have to drive it for the truck.
Well, I know for you, it'd have to have some
It's gotta be
awful
clean.
snow for the fire truck not to get there. I know the cars wouldn't be going on the road, because I've driven
Fire
there.
trucks get stuck
Well,
Yeah,
I-
I have.
in the snow.
A liquid load there, boy.
Oh, yeah, I know, but I did that too. We have a few, no. I would, at this time, like to close our regular meeting and, go to our public hearing on our local law number 4. The local law number 4 is to amend Chapter 100, Article 1 of the Streets and Sidewalks Laws. Now, this has been posted out there for people to review. Is there anyone here that would like to make any comments on this law this evening? Apparently,
One thing that probably should be said, so that everybody who's listening and would know this. All mailboxes, by virtue of their location, are in the right of way. I can't think of one right now that is not in a right of way.
Okay, but,
So, you know, it's,
but I do think if anybody would, even if they have rural delivery, they have a set rule for rural delivery for, the postal man that delivers the mail. It has to be so far off the road and what have you. It can't be on somebody's sidewalk and on their porch. I think, and that's federal, I mean, so, you know, they needed to check with their local post office too for where their mailbox should have been set. But this here will protect our village sidewalks and streets, this local law. So this is for the benefit of all of the people in the community, at least to keep your sidewalks clean of obstructions. Well, at this time, I'd like a motion to go back to regular session.
Make that motion.
Motion by trustee Short, second trustee Trombley. All in favor? Aye. Okay, I would like to get a motion to adopt local law number 4. Do I get a motion to that effect? Motion by trustee Trombley. Seconded by trustee Connor. I don't believe I need a roll call vote on this. All right, probably should have a roll call. We're gonna have a roll call vote on this, Donna.
Okay.
Trustee Short?
Aye.
Trustee Connor?
Aye.
Trustee Trombley?
Aye.
And the mayor votes aye. Thank you very much. Now, back to the mayor's report. I, at this time, would like to thank all of the trustees, all of the clerical staff, the DPW, for doing such a great job this past year. I know we've had times where we didn't think things were going to get done, but I just think it's been a pleasure working with everybody this year of 2001. We've been a lot more fortunate in some parts of this United States. And again, I want to thank everybody personally. Thank you for a great year. And I hope that we do this again in 2002. Now I'm looking to spend money, now that I've got all your egos up a little bit here. Or do you know what? We're looking to cover the clarifiers at the wastewater treatment plant. This weather that we have in this area is detrimental to those running pieces of equipment when we get below 0, 20, and the wind chill puts it 40 below. And in the past, we've had breakage. I'm not saying we're not going to have breakage again, but we've had an astronomical amount of overtime when you're having people there 24 hours a day, so they can keep it broke up so it doesn't break. we had a quote in our correspondence to cover the clarifiers for $10,000, which is really not a bad price when that includes installation. And also, we'd had a request last month, and we sort of much tabled it when we were asked to buy equipment to check our own BOD. What's happening with our wastewater treatment plant is Trustee Connor, as well as Trustee Mercaldi and myself, got a tour of the plant, and we were shown on graph what actually is happening. Right now we have things in place that are, we're trying to get our BODs, the people that give us their waste, to stay within the guidelines. And what we were told was that by the time you test it, ship it away, and the time it gets back, it's 3 to 4 weeks. Well, 3 to 4 weeks, if you have an excessive BOD, that means that keeps filling and filling and filling, and we need to shorten all of that down so we can take corrective measures. And on that equipment was valued at, priced at around $3,300. So I spoke with Ms. Dawson at length and asked her what we could do. And she advised, or I advised, and I asked, I said, I would like to go for a BAN, payable in 5 years, for the sum of $14,000 to take care of this problem. I myself think, with the loss of overtime just to stop this from happening, will pay for itself, but nothing else. I was just wondering what anybody else on the board thought. Why Mr. Connors and Mr. McCaldy were there is because they are the wastewater and sewer committee. It was not intentionally left from Scott and Kim not to be there. Okay, this is just a matter that needs to be addressed, and I would like to hear some comments or feedback or what have you. I had a report of exactly, well, how much hours was put into it and overtime. And believe me, it's considerable. Yeah, I got that somewhere. Now, we're not only talking overtime, we're talking double time. So, you know, if a person, you know, I ain't saying it, if a person makes $10 an hour, $20 an hour, it don't take long to eat up $200. You know, and I'm telling you, there's a lot of $200 in 14,000, and I know we'd eat it up in the 5-year period. Not only that, but the fatigue on the chains and the mechanical running parts, just the fatigue that, you know, because if you put added stress on it, even if it doesn't break, it weakens it. And when you start repairing that chain, and you got to pump that all out, and you know, this again is can be an astronomical cost. So I think what I'm actually asking the board this evening is, and like I say, I spoke to Janice in length, if the board would approve that we go out for a BAN so that we could cover the clarifiers and gets the instrumentation that he needs to keep an eye on the BOD.
The only question that I asked was from the last month was, did Ross's Point go through the same process? And, you know, testing, like when we share the cost with them, if they do the testing, the same testing as we do?
Well,
You got some correspondence on that.
we do that, but they
I
don't.
I can read one from Tom Reed. You're interested in performing daily COD tests on the influent coming into your plant is quite understandable. Although we don't have the time to do these tests for you because of major projects happening at our plant, there are two other options you may want to consider. You either bring your samples to alchemy, which is what we do, or purchase the necessary equipment. Basically, you're saying that they don't.
They really don't want it.
Yeah, and
Okay.
they don't do it for themselves either.
Yeah.
What the-
So that's what they were saying.
They are in a more, most times they're in a more stable condition.
But they have had the same problems we've had.
Yes, they
Or
have.
are having in the past. And, I think,
Basically, they're not solving it for themselves anymore.
well, it's something that can come and go.
Right.
And,
Like
well,
a
I guess
high
having
school.
the equipment isn't gonna stop coming, but it'll allow us to respond quicker than what we are able to now and understand better what's going on at the plant as compared to, you know, throwing your hands up and saying,
You gotta wait
we don't know what we're doing,
Right.
you know? Basically, I mean, it gives us the opportunity to get things done now as compared to waiting a month later, which
It's
may be
very fast.
more difficult to resolve.
And then we've added that much more out of permit BOD to it. And the more we get, the more it costs us to treat it, so it's gonna be a savings all the way down. I mean, it's,
Oh, it was just a question. I
right,
asked.
no, but your
Yeah.
thing is right, and
Yeah.
we did. And we asked Steve to do that. So
Good question.
Yeah.
oh, it's not a bad question.
No.
But we did do that, and,
Plus- I'm sorry.
yeah, no, go ahead.
Plus, we can isolate quicker who's shipping that to us. I mean, we have an idea of some locations, some businesses that are putting excess BOD into our plant. But to prove that when it's happening 4 weeks earlier, it's gonna make it awful tough. So you can identify it right away that it's happening and then get a
Take
quicker start.
appropriate steps to it.
So we've had a lot of time to think about this. I mean, last month, I didn't want to jump on it because we didn't have the information that I thought, that I felt comfortable with in evaluating and purchasing the equipment. But now I think that we've gotten our questions answered. I think we understand things a little bit better. I mean, I'm glad we had the tour because I wouldn't have had a clue if I hadn't gone down there and seen it.
Right.
So for $3,000, it's a lot of money to the village, but it's a small amount for operating that type of facility. And also, by covering the clarifiers, I think it's going to be a cost savings in the long run. It's cost us thousands of dollars in the past few years because of things freezing up, trains breaking, a lot of manpower just to be there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week
Yeah.
when it gets super full. So we're going to be saving money in the long run.
Like I said, this itself will pay for itself. It will pay for itself in unexpended, expended parts. And I mean, there's always going to be overtime. You're not ever going to get rid of that. But that should be cut dramatically.
So what was recommended, a 5-year EAN?
That's what I talked to Janice for, a 5-year BAN, and that should, we'd be looking at,
Interest rate should be low.
yeah, interest rate is low, now's the time to do it. So that's, I'm saying to myself, oh, we should pay for itself in each year of operation. It should pay for itself. Just by the lists and the overtime and the parts and what have you.
So you need a motion?
Yes, I need a motion that we go do a VAN. I'm going to put the realistic figure of $14,000 2, cover the clarifiers and purchase the test equipment that we're gonna need to keep a closer eye on our BODs.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
Motion made by trustee Connor,
Second.
seconded trustee Short. All in favor? I think I'm gonna do a roll call again, just to make sure. Scott? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Kim? Aye. And the mayor votes aye. That way, it's all on record. I'm almost done speaking, and I'm sure that you're probably glad for that.
Yeah.
And there are 2 requisitions in front of me this evening. One of them was for, again, a sampler bottle, 3-gallon, a retainer, full bottle shut off, bottle positioner support. And what this is for is that we can test in 2 areas of the village at the same time.
That really wasn't in the form of a purchase, Rick, was it? It's just on a memo.
I think there, or maybe there isn't, yeah.
There isn't.
I got a requisition there.
We don't.
Yeah.
We never got it.
Oh,
All we have is the one for the little girl and the pumps.
Well, this one is, you didn't make a copy for,
I
Well, I did, but.
well, it states on here, parts for sampler.
Which is broken down by.
It's broken down by right here on your requisition of, on your correspondence of $175.
Yeah, that's that one.
Yeah, right. That's the one that comes from the correspondence.
Okay.
So what we need to do is, this requisition, and we have another one here again, and it comes from, it is for a wheelbarrow, pump small, pump larger, comes to $265.
Time out. I made a mistake on this one too. There's a number mistake.
The,
Donna caught me on it.
the wheelbarrow was actually 89, get the actual bill. Should have been 89.95. The bill was, it was, writing on it was pretty bad, so it's not really Mr. Sullivan's fault, but.
Sure.
Must have heard it.
Who knows what I was thinking when I did it.
So that requisition is $269.85. And the other one was $175.
So 444, 85.
You got what now?
$444.85.
$444.85. Do we get a motion to approve these requisitions this evening?
So moved. And there's money in the budget that covers these 2. And I think we do need to do the sampling, by all means, to
Yes.
try and alleviate some of the problems we're having with stuff coming into our system.
So, a motion by trustee Connor, second trustee Short, all in favor? Aye. One thing left for me this evening. Would you pass those? Please, thank you. And on a more happier note and not so much business, at this time I would like to wish everybody here at the board and the general public a Merry Christmas and a very safe and happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One question. Do we need to I know you read this on the elections, do we have to actually vote on it? It's a resolution? No?
I don't believe so, no. No, we don't have to vote on a resolution for the election, not that I know of.
Just want to make sure.
Okay, now I have so much paperwork, I lost where I was here. Now it's gonna be. Okay. Reported to trustees. Trustee Connor, do you have anything this evening?
Nothing under trustee reports, but I'm gonna have some things under, I believe, superintendent's report.
Okay. We're gonna make you smile. Okay, trustee Short this evening.
That's the only one comment I have to make is from an individual from the public had recognized that we're doing a great job. I just wanted to bring it to all you guys, that we have a tough job sometimes, and decisions are hard to make, that a lot of people out there can't make our decisions for us. They can advise us, but we're the ones that have to make the decisions, and our positions a lot of times are thankless, but she appreciated herself that we're doing a great job, and I want to tell you guys that. Thank you.
Trustee Mercaldi is not here this evening, but I've had some conversations with him, and he regrets he can't be here this evening. But he did want to bring up one thing, and he told me not to forget this. To thank everyone who's worked on the downtown beautification. It turned out quite well, and he wanted to make a special thanks to Bob for all of the pictures and the guidance that he put forward to help Francis with this downtown beautification. And I just want to make sure that I pass that on to you from trustee Mercaldi. The rest of us don't necessarily feel that way, but I didn't mean to say that, but that's okay. I wanted to make you smile and laugh. I'm going to do that. Trustee Champlain. Thank you very much. Before us, we have our sad but true expenditures and revenues. And I know I spoke with Mrs. Dawson today because she doesn't feel good, and I apologize for calling her, but there was some things that I wanted to know, and even in her state of not feeling so well, she was more than cordial to answer. So if anybody has any questions on this, expenditures and revenues, Mrs. Dawson will be more than willing to answer. I did ask her, or I did more or less say to her, that we will probably start our budget process next month, because it's time. And she said, oh yes, that notorious budget. So I'd just like to let the board members know that we will, and if any board member has anything that they would like to see if we could incorporate into the budget, it would probably be a good thing if at the January 14th meeting, and I believe that's going to be our next meeting, January 14th, that they bring it forward, and we will put it. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but you know, there may be something that somebody has spoke to you about or what have you. We can look and see if we can work it into our budget for next year. Oh, yes, Bob.
May I also say that, you know, it's time that the public should contact the board if there's something they really feel as though they want to see something done. This is the proper time, not in June or July, so that you can plan on it. A lot of people don't know when they don't quite understand what we're doing and when we're doing it.
So did, if everybody heard Superintendent Sullivan out there, if there's anything that the general public would like to see if the village could put into a budget and see if we could get done, get hold of any one of the trustees or drop it off at the clerk or Bob Sullivan himself,
Write a letter.
myself, a letter. We will be glad to review them and see if at all possible we could do some of them next year. Thank you, Robert.
Can I just make one note? I think what Superintendent Sullivan said, a letter, I think that's probably the best route to go. Sometimes people forget, you know, somebody might mention something to a trustee or to someone else, and it may just slip our mind and go over our heads, as Bob is indicating. And we want to make sure that everything is presented to the board as compared to one individual getting it and maybe forgetting about it or being overlooked. So in writing is probably the best route to go.
Absolutely.
Very good point, Trustee Connor. On to the notorious superintendent's report. Now we can see them.
You have my written report.
No, I have your typed report, your written report we can read.
Right, okay, I resemble that remark.
Okay.
Are there any questions on it that you can pop off, right?
Yes, I don't have anything specific on your report, but in general, that will go along with what we've been discussing tonight. I think we need to be more ambitious towards identifying problem areas for high VOD, grease, and whatever that's causing the problems at our wastewater plant. And I know there is direction towards that, just that I think us as a board wants to, you know, give you the authority to continue on and probably go at a little more rapid pace
A little giddy up.
to take care of these problems, because these are problems that have been there
Yeah.
for years, and we make some headway and then we drop it. I think we have to keep after it and do whatever is necessary to take care of these problems. And it's the same people over and over again that are causing these problems, or same violators,
Right.
businesses or whatever. I mean, we slap their hand and they're good for a little while, and then they turn around and continue to do it again. So we have to work hard at that, identifying and resolving these issues. It's just going to help us, it's going to keep our costs down in the long run, and the village's tax dollars.
So what you're saying is, if it is determined with our new testing equipment and our new spot way of testing, so we can get multiple samples, if we run into a trouble area where a certain concern is repeatedly above the contract that they signed for the BOD, that we may need to fine them or terminate their service. I think that's the stance that we're gonna have to take, because I have correspondence that goes back a couple of years on certain things, And, I mean, I can see giving time to have things put in place, and I can understand that. But actually, 2 years is really
A lot of time.
an extended amount of time.
I think some of, or I know of one place in particular, it's been a lot more than 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
It's been 4 or 5 years that, at least, that they've had problems, and they're good for a while, and then they revert back to the same way of doing things and not resolving the problems like they had agreed to do. And if it takes shutting them down, shut them down. And I mean, it's, once you shut one down, the others will take notice. And
Because they're in direct violation of the contract. They are, I mean, you know, and I myself even hate to think of that as a recourse. But as Trustee Connor is saying, we need to do something.
Yeah, I was very reluctant to.
And, you know, and I think that's probably what's gonna end up being is the feelings of the boards. I know I spoke to Trustee Mercaldi and he put it on there. You know, if you don't have a permit, you don't comply, you no longer do. He says, you know, he was very concerned about the BOD levels. And that's what he's got here, because I wrote his note, to comply with BOD permit. We need to do that. And I think our approach in the past has been somewhat effective, but nowhere where it should be. So I agree with Trustee Connor. I mean, if we're going to jeopardize what everybody has put into it, taxpayers and what have you, we need to run it within the guidelines that the permit calls for.
And this is why we're buying this testing equipment.
Oh, yes, and it's going to get,
The violators will pay.
it's going to get tougher and tougher and tougher because of the sampling system that's going to be set up. We have an idea of what we will be able to nail a lot better, okay? And forever who is out there that may be watching this, that may be contributing to the BOD levels,
Excessive.
excessive BOD levels, think about it. We will be keeping a closer eye on it.
I know probably a lot of people don't understand what BOD is, and maybe it'd help if I explained it. It's the food value that's in to microorganisms that consumes air, biochemical oxygen demand. A normal house will run around somewhere between 100 to 150 milligrams per liter. We're dealing with people that are putting in over 1,000. So I mean, it sounds bad to people outside and they're saying, oh gee, they're beating up on people, but it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And we have made some pretty lenient limits on some of these commercial people, and they've just snubbed their nose.
We won't be snubbing our nose much longer, is what we're getting at, okay? Thank you very much. That was something that needed to be said. And being the commissioner, thank you. Anything else for Mr. Sullivan? My thing is, I don't know if people have talked with Bob, but we are actually, for the amount that we have to do this year and the time and the problems that have occurred, we are actually in pretty good shape.
Throw a lot of balls in the air at the same time for a juggler.
So we are doing, you know,
thanks to the nice weather too.
yes.
No denying that. No denying that.
Any other questions for Mr. Sullivan? Should we, have our correspondence, please?
Okay, first is a request for a handicap parking in front of the residence of Woolley and Smith.
I need to ask you a question about this.
Mm-hmm.
I actually don't know do we, as a municipality, have the right to designate a parking spot?
We don't have the right to designate a parking spot, but we do have the right to designate a handicap parking sign. Now, if somebody else with a handicap parking sticker
Can park there?
parks there, oh well. It's not just, it doesn't belong to one individual.
Right. See, the thing of it is what, because I did a little research and I even see by her letter, which,
She's asked me this a number of times, and I told her this is the only way it can be handled, is to come to the board and ask the question. And it's up to
she
you.
doesn't even have a vehicle. She doesn't drive.
You need to have a sticker to park there, or a tag to park there, you handicap.
So what happens is, in all actuality, if this was designated a handicap parking area, the person that parks in it's gonna have a handicap sticker.
That's correct.
Not anybody can go there and pick her up and take her wherever she wants unless they have a handicap sticker.
That's correct.
She can have a handicap
She can have one and give it to them to put
put on
on,
the vehicle. 'Cause
on their vehicle.
Yes, because I can take one of, I'm a handicap,
Yeah.
and I can take, if you're traveling, if I'm traveling with you, I can take my hook
And
and
stick
put
it.
it,
Yeah.
and use it, because it's for me.
Right.
I have a notion of getting one of my own, but that's all.
I'm confused on, this, an individual wants this on a residential street.
Right.
I don't know if that's a precedent that we really want to start.
I think
I mean,
it's,
there are driveways, parking lots and that type of thing, and I don't know if this
She
particular,
doesn't have a driveway?
I don't know.
No.
no,
That's why I was
Parking right on the street.
Well, what happens in wintertime?
she doesn't have a car.
I'm saying though,
Oh, they park behind the building.
then they can park behind the building now, I guess. I don't want to be harsh, but I just don't want to start setting a precedent about putting signs up everywhere throughout the village. You
That's
do
correct.
one, and everybody else, you know, that opens the door for someone else. Is it a big problem that there's always 10 cars parked in front of this place that they can't get to?
I've never gone down.
I don't know,
to find that out.
I haven't been by the location to really look at it, but
There is a problem.
is there?
Yeah, that's what she commented to Mrs. Dawson, is that people are parking in front of her house.
But it's people that live in that area, I would think.
Well, there's a local establishment.
Oh, okay, all right.
And
I understand now, okay. I needed to see and hear more.
Okay, but that was, I think that's her issue. There is a local establishment there that
Well,
does attract a lot of vehicles.
I think then when her ride does come to pick her up, they're not able to park in front of
Is
her
it,
house.
is it just pick somebody up and drop somebody off, or is it just leave the vehicle there? I guess that's,
That would be another question that you'd need answered. I don't know the answer to that.
because I'm sure there's other people that live in the same area that wouldn't be able to park there either.
That's correct.
So I would think that the establishment should have the appropriate parking for the clientele. By law, they're required to have so many parking spots, correct?
Yes, and one One
they?
night during last winter, there wasn't enough in the entire village.
Right. But I think, you know, I think there are still unanswered questions
Yeah,
to
there is.
this.
I mean,
I would like to be able to turn this over to streets. Let them investigate and actually see what needs to come out of this.
Mrs. Smith,
I really do. I'm not saying it's not worth it, but again, I'm with Trustee Connor. Do we want to open up something that,
We're putting handicap.
all over
the
town?
village.
Right, you know, because I could go into a tenant and come out and, oh, I'm handicapped, so I want a spot right here in Main Street, and I want a spot here, because if they turn it into apartments, I want one here, and I want one here. This is not good conjecture. I mean, you know, I think we really need to do this, and I may be speaking out of turn. But I would like if the street committee would try and meet with Ms. Smith and find out, you know, what is going on and the concerns that this might arouse, you know.
And maybe we can meet with the business owners that are creating this problem.
But I think we need to go
Yeah.
a little bit more before we make a decision on this. And if, do you agree?
oh yeah, in reading this, it doesn't give me enough information, and
Yeah,
and
I
I just hate to open the door to do one thing, because once you do it for one, you're gonna have to do it for everybody.
We want to
and
make
not
sure
only-
that this is what we want to do.
It's not only, if it's the right thing to do, that's fine, but it does get expensive too, because you gotta buy these signs, you gotta put them up, and it's just not, you know, $30–40,
And
it's
maintain.
hundreds of dollars.
And maintain them,
So,
and maintain them. Dang.
it might be an issue to also talk to NICOM,
Okay,
see what else is.
right, I think we need to do a little bit more before we actually do this.
But
So,
at least you have the letter now, so
Right.
we have something to act on.
right. So Donna, if Mrs. Dawson is here, I don't know if she would be, but we need to put that down for her to check with NICOM on this.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, number 2.
Correspondence from the Office of the State Controller regarding the filing of the local law dissolving the fire department.
That was a long time ago. I hate this.
Third is a response from Danz's AEI International regarding the waste beer spill. Four is correspondence to GLC fur dressers regarding their significant industrial users permit. 5 is correspondence to Chairperson Jarvis regarding the hiring of Dr. Lamb and the future meetings regarding the update of the zoning law. 6 is correspondence and price quote regarding the digester cover from Structures Unlimited Incorporated. 7 is correspondence from New York State Department of Environmental Conservation regarding wastewater facility infrastructure security. 8 is correspondence from the Northern Tier Chamber of Commerce regarding the possibility they may dissolve.
It's too bad I couldn't make that last one. I know.
Number 9 is notification from the New York State DEC regarding funds for water quality improvement projects. 10 is wind power information from Supervisor Abdullah. 11 is correspondence from the New York State Education Department regarding the holiday lighting contest. I think that's a typo, I'm not sure.
Right.
the electric and gas, right?
Right.
I think I was under the gun that afternoon.
Yeah, you were. We were here, weren't we?
Correspondence from Time Warner Cable regarding changes in service rates.
Every year, it seems like $2 here, $2 there, and it just keeps going and going and going.
There's a letter in your, that came in today.
Yes.
It had to do with that.
I
think you all should
haven't
read
had a
that.
chance to read it, but
I think you should all read it and then.
it's actually from, it's correspondence number 15, is that it? Yes. Yeah. It's in-
Oh, it is, it is. Oh, sorry. I hadn't seen it.
But I know Rouse's Point expressed their concern also, their last meeting. And
Yeah, I know.
they think they're giving you something by giving some of these oddball channels, you know, a couple channels which nobody will probably watch anyway. So,
You like those 45 music channels
I,
that I got on digital? Oh,
You
well,
have,
I don't get digital, so,
Oh.
but I mean, just your regular, you know, you get a couple channels each year, and your rate goes up at $2 or something a year. We can care less. Those 2 channels aren't costing them anything. It's just a way of saying, well, we're giving you this, and then we have to charge you for
Giving
it.
it, you're paying for it.
Yeah.
you
So- I got a concern with that, and I remember it started out less than $20, and now it's over 40
Yeah.
for your standard cable.
And you can't get a package that's in between either.
No.
You either have to get your absolute basic channels, like 3, 5,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
through channel 11, because I called on this not too long ago, because my husband wanted me to get rid of it altogether. Or you go channel 0 to 99, which costs, our cable bill is $43. And that is no HBO, no Cinemax, no nothing. That is basic
I'm
TV.
77 a month.
Well, I can't help that. No, I agree. and
But
that's-
there is no happy medium. You either get nothing, or you get, and it's just, that's plain TV as far as I'm concerned. It's regular TV. It's not any, to me, when you're paying $43 a month, that should be a movie channel or
You used to be able to
something
get 2 movie channels and then some on top
for
of your...
20-something a month. When it first started.
So maybe we might, after the first of the year, want to have a meeting and invite somebody from Time Warner Cable to our board meeting.
You, might I suggest you might want to, if you advertise it well enough, you might want to have a larger room than this.
I know, because there's a lot of
There's
people
a lot
out
of
there.
people unhappy, I'm sure.
Okay, well, we will,
That's another-
I think we have future discussion. I mean,
yes,
this is just a letter informing us that the rates are going up,
again,
and there's nothing really we can do about it.
No.
We have a contract with them.
5 or 10 years,
I
a
can't
long
remember.
contract.
Yeah. But maybe
oh, yeah.
Ponds 15 will help us out a little bit.
Number 13 is CHIPS notification from the Department of Transportation.
So you will know, that was, the CHIPS balance was 13,465.86. And we had budgeted 16,500 because that's what we assumed we were going to get, but without having the budget the way it was supposed to be and being a level funded budget, it went back to that 13, what it was last year.
So
we
we're
spent-
2,500.
We did not overspend,
Yeah.
Okay.
so that will,
But do we have any chance of, I mean, this is it?
That's it.
that's it.
They're not
Bottom
gonna
line.
increase it because as an amended budget or anything?
I don't think there's any amendment for the budget. We'll be lucky if we have one by December of next year.
Yeah.
The way they
Doesn't
move.
surprise me.
Number 14 is a grant announcements from Assemblyman Ortlock. 15 was an offer to do a television franchise audit from Troy and Banks Consultants.
This is the correspondence that we alluded to a few minutes ago, and I mean, we really haven't had a chance to read it because we just got in our mailbox today. But maybe it's something we might want to investigate further. As long as it doesn't cost us anything, maybe we might want to, yeah. It says, our compensation is 50% of the refund amount. So if we don't get any refund, they're not gonna get anything. What do we got to lose?
Not a thing.
So maybe, could we have somebody just call and, sometime before the next meeting and see if they're, where are they out of? They're out of Buffalo. I don't know if they'd want to come here. But if they do, we'd certainly be willing to meet with them and see what they can do for us. As long as it's not going to cost us anything.
That's right.
Okay. Number 16 was an ICOM correspondence, an updated version of the authority of a municipal chief executive during an emergency. We had 2 copies of that, and one is in the office if anybody wanted to look at it. Also, there's other copies available for $10, I think it was.
Yeah.
There's no restriction against copying it, is there?
I didn't read it in there, Bob, I don't.
Usually Nikon
No,
copy.
I didn't notice anything in there.
Okay, thank you for the correspondence, Donna. Well, we're on to old business. As far as I know, the emergency generator radio equipment grant, as far as I know, that's still waiting for word from Rodney Brown.
He in turn is waiting for something from State Emergency Management, who is in turn waiting for something from FEMA.
Right.
And as of this moment, they don't have a contract for the generators from
This is
either
well,
one of those
I believe
entities.
this is well over a year old now.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So we're still at,
Probably a year and a half.
yeah, we're still at bay as far as, and correspondence number 2 on old business was veterans exemption. The county moved on this, and I don't remember the numbers, so what I would ask is that either Donna or Janice get hold of Rouse's Point, the town of Champlain, and Clinton County, and find out what they had done on this. I believe the county went all the way, but I think we need to know a little bit more.
I know we were given Janice gave us a figure of what we would actually lose in tax dollars at our last meeting, and I can't remember what that was. I don't know if it was noted in there.
I think what we need to do is to get a packet
Yeah, I see a dollar amount. But I'm not against it, but I'd like more information as far as how much the village is gonna lose of revenue.
Right.
Because, you know, any amount is, you know, tough for the village. And if we do increase it, it may not, you know, it may not be the full amount. And we go from $40,000 to $90,000 exemption, that's quite a jump.
Right. Okay, because that's what I'm saying. I think we need a packet, per se, to be fixed for us for our next board meeting, so we can act on this, veterans exemption. I'm not, I think I need to know a little bit more about it and what the trend is. I'm sure that this is well deserved. There's no doubt in my mind it's deserved. But I think we need to find where we need to go with it. Okay, and I don't mean to be harsh, but I think for us to make a real a good decision on this, we need to have a packet of figures and what is actually happening out in the country, in the county, and in the state. And we should adhere to that. Okay, is there any other old business? Is there any new business? Bingo. I knew there was something else I wanted. New business. I'll cut it quick. Do we, Robert, have anybody going around and checking streetlights at night?
No.
I think we
Supposedly
need some,
NICEAG does that, but as I said, supposedly.
I think we need somebody to go around the village, check the lights that are out, get the pole numbers, and turn that into NICEAG. Because we do have some out in the village. And I'm not saying it's any darker in the wintertime, but it's darker a lot longer in the wintertime than it is in the summertime.
I think it's darker.
Yeah, it is.
But I know the length of it is much, much longer than in the summer.
But I would think that if the village residents know there's a light out,
Okay,
they would report it to either the village or to NICEAG.
Whenever they call it in, I call it in immediately.
And I know
And all
the
they have
one
to
on
do
my
is
street,
call.
near my house, has been replaced a couple times, and once it's been reported, it's taken care of, like, within a day. They're very good about it.
Yeah.
But I would like to at this time, and if anybody out there has a street light that's out in front of their property or next to their property, would they call the village office and let the village office know? We cannot have it repaired if we don't know about it. But that's why I'm asking Bob
I don't go out much at night.
to see if there's anybody, because even if we were to pay somebody 1 hour to ride around the village and get the numbers and the thing, I would like to see that done, especially for this season that's coming up. Because lighting is a must, especially in snow, and we don't need any dark corners. You know, it's bad enough as it is. So that's it for me for new business.
I just have one thing to add to that. If they do happen to call, if they can get the pole number off of it, it would save a lot, and location,
Right.
because we have to have that to call out.
So, if anybody out there has one, there is a nice big tag on a pole which gives you a number and a location of where it is. If it's on Locust Street, Pine Street, Butternut Street, what have you. We would appreciate any help from the general public we can get. Thank you. Any other new business? Presentation of the warrant. Who wants to make a motion that we pay the bills this month? Do I get a motion and a second? Motion by trustee Connor,
Second.
Second, trustee Trombley, to pay the warrant. All in favor? Aye. Now, the devastating part of the evening. Do I get a motion for adjournment?
Aye.
Motion for adjournment, trustee Short. Seconded by trustee Connor. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.